Nia Okonkwo had been a nurse long enough to know that miracles didn't happen in the ICU. Patients either got better or they didn't. Comas either ended or they became permanent. Hope was a luxury you couldn't afford when dealing with unresponsive bodies and flatlined brain activity, which was why she talked to Mr. Choi anyway. "Good evening," she said softly, entering room 1207 for her night shift. "It's Tuesday, which means we're reading more of that thriller you probably hate. I think the detective is about to catch the killer, but honestly, the plot is ridiculous. You'd probably laugh at it." The man in the bed didn't respond. He never did. Choi Siwon had been in a coma for 2 years. Some kind of accident, the chart said, though the armed guards outside his door suggested otherwise. He was listed as a VIP patient, identity protected, bills paid in full by some corporation Nia had never heard of. She didn't ask questions. In Seoul's most expensive private hospital, discretion was part of the job. But talking to coma patients was her own addition to the job description. Studies showed they could sometimes hear, sometimes process. And even if they couldn't, Nia couldn't stand the silence. "My shift supervisor was terrible today," she continued, checking his vitals, steady, unchanged, the same flat readings he'd shown for 24 months. "She kept saying my accent was unprofessional. Can you believe that? I'm Nigerian, not a robot. Of course I have an accent." She adjusted his IV, smoothed his blankets, checked the medication schedule on her tablet. Everything routine, everything normal. Except she was exhausted. Bone deep, double shift, exhausted. Her colleague had called in sick, and Nia had covered both their patients for 16 hours straight. "Mr. Choi, I'm going to give you your evening medication now," she said, drawing up the syringe. "Same as always. This should help with—" She stopped. The syringe in her hand was labeled wrong. This wasn't Mr. Choi's standard medication. This was NXR-47, the experimental neurological stimulant for the patient in room 1209, the one with the traumatic brain injury. "Oh my God," Nia whispered. She looked at the IV port. The medication was already flowing into his system. She'd been on autopilot, exhausted, and had grabbed the wrong syringe from her cart. "No, no, no." She immediately stopped the drip, but at least 10 ml had already gone in. Her hands shook as she hit the emergency call button. "I need Dr. Kim in room 1207 immediately." Wrong medication administered. The next 30 minutes were chaos. Dr. Kim and 2 other doctors rushed in, checking vitals, running tests, monitoring for adverse reactions. Nia stood in the corner, horrified, watching her career implode in real time. "His vitals are spiking," one doctor said urgently. "Heart rate increasing, blood pressure rising, brain activity is increasing significantly." Everyone froze. "That's not possible," Dr. Kim said. "He's been flatlined for 2 years. EEG shows theta waves, delta waves. He's moving into lighter sleep stages." The doctor's voice was shocked. "He's waking up." They all turned to stare at the man who hadn't moved in 24 months. Choi Siwon's fingers twitched. Then his eyelids fluttered. Then, impossibly, his eyes opened. Nia had seen patients wake from comas before, but never like this. Usually it was gradual, days of increased responsiveness, slow returns to consciousness. This was immediate, dramatic, like someone flipping a switch. Siwon's dark eyes moved around the room, unfocused, confused. His mouth moved, trying to form words. "Mr. Choi," Dr. Kim said carefully. "Can you hear me? You're in a hospital. You've been in an accident. You're safe now." Siwon's eyes continued scanning until they landed on Nia, still pressed against the wall, tears of relief and terror streaming down her face. His expression changed completely, confusion shifting to recognition, then overwhelming emotion. "Yeobo," he whispered, the Korean word rough from disuse. "Darling, you're here." Everyone looked at Nia. I don't," she started. But Siwon was trying to sit up, reaching for her with a desperation that made the monitors scream. "Saranghae, my wife. I thought I'd lost you." "Mr. Choi, please calm down," Dr. Kim tried to intervene, but Siwon was getting agitated, his vitals spiking dangerously. "Where were you? Why can't I remember?" His voice cracked. "Please, come here. I need to know you're real." Nia looked at Dr. Kim helplessly. The doctor's expression was urgent. "Keep him calm. His system can't handle stress right now." Against every instinct, Nia moved forward. She took Siwon's reaching hand, and his grip was desperate, trembling. "I'm here," she said softly, not knowing what else to say. "You're really here." Tears streamed down his face. "I heard your voice. In the darkness, I heard you talking to me, reading to me. I thought it was a dream, but you're real. My wife is real." "Mr. Choi, Siwon, call me Siwon." He pulled her hand to his chest, over his heart. "Why are you calling me Mr. Choi? What happened? Why can't I remember anything?" Dr. Kim stepped forward carefully. "Mr. Choi, Siwon, you've been in a coma for 2 years following an accident. Some memory loss is normal. We'll run tests, help you piece things together. But right now, you need to stay calm." 2 years? Siwon looked devastated. "I lost 2 years with you?" He was looking at Nia like she was his entire world, like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to reality. And Nia, still holding his hand, still feeling his desperate grip, realized the horrible truth. He genuinely believed she was his wife. "We should let you rest," Dr. Kim said. "Your wife can stay with you. Everyone else, let's give them privacy and run the necessary tests." The doctors filtered out. Nia tried to follow, but Siwon's grip tightened. "Don't leave, please. I just got you back. I need to. There are things we should discuss. I know I must look terrible. I know 2 years is a long time, but please, just stay for a moment. Let me remember what it feels like to be with you." His eyes were so earnest, so full of love for someone he thought she was. And Nia, Nigerian nurse, who'd made a catastrophic medication error, who'd accidentally woken a man from a 2-year coma with experimental drugs, found herself sitting down beside him. "Just for a moment," she whispered. Outside the room, she could hear urgent voices, security, important-sounding men asking questions, the word boss being used with a deference that made her stomach drop. She looked at the man holding her hand like she was precious, the man with guards outside his door, the man who'd been in a medically induced coma for reasons no one would explain. "Siwon," she said carefully, "what do you do for a living?" "I run a business. Import-export, pharmaceutical distribution." "Why? And before the accident, we were married?" "Of course, 2 years before the accident. Best day of my life." His smile was soft, genuine. "Don't you remember? The wedding in Jeju Island? You wore that traditional dress that made you look like a queen." Nia had never been to Jeju Island, had never married anyone, definitely had never married this man. But he believed it, completely. The door opened. 3 men in expensive suits entered. Dangerous men with the kind of stillness that suggested violence was always an option. They stopped dead when they saw Siwon awake. "Boss," the lead man breathed. "You're Junho." Siwon's voice was warm with recognition. "How long have I been out?" 2 years, Hyungnim. We've been waiting." Junho's eyes slid to Nia. "And you're the boss's wife? We had no idea you were here. We've been searching for you since the accident." The lie was spiraling beyond Nia's control. These men thought she was his wife too, and from the weapons she could see barely concealed under their jackets, these were not men you wanted to disappoint with the truth. "She's been here the whole time," Siwon said, squeezing her hand. "Taking care of me, my wife, my everything." Junho bowed respectfully to Nia. "Ma'am, we're honored to finally meet you. The boss spoke of you constantly before the accident. We'll make sure you're both protected now." After they left to secure the floor, Nia sat in stunned silence. She'd made a medication error that woke a man from a coma. He thought she was his wife. His dangerous-looking associates thought she was his wife. And if she told the truth now, that she was just his nurse, that he was suffering from false memories, what would happen? Would they blame her for the confusion? Would they hurt her for the deception, even though it wasn't intentional? Would Siwon's fragile recovery be compromised by the shock? "Are you okay?" Siwon asked, concerned by her silence. "You look scared." "I'm just processing. It's been a long 2 years. For both of us." He brought her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "But we're together now. That's all that matters. I don't remember the accident, or the past 3 years clearly, but I remember you. I remember loving you. That's enough." Nia looked at this man, this dangerous, powerful man who thought she was his salvation, and made a decision. She'd play along, just until his memories returned properly. Just until doctors could figure out what was happening. Just until she could extract herself safely from this impossible situation. "I'm glad you're awake," she said quietly. And that, at least, was true. "I'm glad you're here." His smile was beautiful, transforming his severe features. "My wife, my Nia." He knew her name. Of course he did. He'd heard her introduce herself 1,000 times during his coma, her voice the only constant in his darkness. He'd built an entire false memory around that voice, around her. And now Nia Okonkwo, Nigerian ICU nurse, was trapped playing the wife of a man who owned half of Seoul's underworld, a man she'd accidentally saved with the wrong medication. "What have I done?" she thought. But when Siwon smiled at her like she'd hung the stars, part of her whispered back, "Maybe something miraculous after all. Would you have told the truth immediately or played along to keep him calm?" Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're already hooked on this story about a medication mistake that created an impossible love, hit subscribe and tell me what you think will happen when he remembers the truth. This is about to get complicated. Now, let's continue. The first 48 hours were a carefully orchestrated deception. Doctors ran tests while Nia stayed by Siwon's side, playing the role of devoted wife because his vitals crashed every time she tried to leave. Dr. Bao Kim pulled her aside on the second day with grave news. His brain activity is unusual. The experimental medication triggered his awakening, but it also seems to have reorganized certain neural pathways. He has severe retrograde amnesia, can't remember the past 3 years clearly. But he's created false memories to fill the gaps, and you're at the center of them. So what do I do? Nia whispered desperately. For now, maintain the fiction. His system is fragile. If we shock him with the truth that you're not his wife, that he never had a wife, it could trigger another neurological event. We need to let his brain heal gradually. Let real memories surface naturally. How long? Could be days, could be months. There's no precedent for this. Dr. Kim's expression was sympathetic. I know this is an impossible position, but Nia, you saved his life. That medication error, it was the only thing that could have woken him. You gave him a chance. Now you have to help him navigate back to reality. So Nia became Mrs. Choi Siwon, wife of a man she barely knew. The Black Tiger Syndicate moved her into Siwon's private suite, a hospital room that looked more like a luxury hotel, with security that rivaled presidential protection. Junho, his second-in-command, treated her with careful respect. Ma'am, we need to brief you on security protocols. There are people who wanted the boss dead. Now that he's awake, they'll try again. People? Nia asked carefully. Rival organizations, business competitors, the usual threats. Junho said it like attempted murder was normal. You'll have a protection detail whenever you leave the hospital. We've also secured your apartment and informed your family in Nigeria that you'll be indisposed for a while. You what? Your mother was worried when you didn't call. We assured her you're fine, just dealing with a family emergency. Junho's tone made it clear. Her old life was suspended until further notice. Nia felt the cage closing around her. But the strangest part was Siwon himself. He was gentle, attentive, and completely devoted to the woman he believed was his wife. He'd ask about her day, hold her hand while watching TV, apologize profusely when his therapy sessions made him too tired to talk. I'm sorry I'm not better company, he said one evening, struggling through physical therapy to rebuild muscle strength. You're doing amazing. 2 days ago, you were in a coma, but you deserve better than a husband who can barely walk. His frustration was genuine. Tell me about us, about our life before. Help me remember. This was the dangerous part, fabricating a shared history. Nia tried to stay vague. We met at work. You were charming, persistent. That sounds right. I remember thinking you were the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Your skin, your eyes, your laugh. I remember that laugh. His eyes were soft. I remember our wedding too. You cried during the vows. Did I? Happy tears. You said you never thought you'd find someone who understood you. He took her hand. I'm sorry I can't remember everything, but I remember loving you. That feeling is so clear, Nia, like it's the truest thing I know. The worst part? Nia was starting to feel something too. Not the fabricated history, but real connection to this man who looked at her like she was precious, who fought through pain without complaint, who treated her with a respect she'd rarely experienced. 5 days after waking, Siwon was cleared to leave the hospital. Home, he said with relief. I can't wait to be home with you. Nia's stomach dropped. She'd been playing wife in a controlled hospital environment. Now she'd have to maintain the deception in his actual home, surrounded by his actual life. The penthouse was in Gangnam, Sleek, modern, expensive, beyond comprehension. But when Siwon walked in, confusion clouded his face. "This doesn't look right. Did we redecorate?" Junho stepped in smoothly. "After the accident, ma'am, we secured the penthouse and updated security. Some things had to be changed." Siwon accepted this, but Nia saw the doubt in his eyes. Things weren't matching his false memories. That night, lying in the guest room, she'd convinced him the doctor said they should sleep separately during his recovery. Nia called Dr. Kim. "He's starting to notice inconsistencies." "That's good. It means real memories are surfacing. But Nia, you need to be prepared. When he fully remembers, there will be a reckoning. He'll realize he created an entire fantasy around you. How he reacts to that, we don't know." After hanging up, Nia stared at the ceiling. She'd gone from night shift nurse to accidental wife of a crime lord in less than a week. And the most terrifying part? She didn't hate it as much as she should. The first crack in the illusion came 2 weeks after Siwon woke up. He was in his study reviewing business documents, slowly rebuilding his understanding of his empire. Nia was reading nearby when Junho entered with a file. "Boss, the quarterly reports you requested. And there's something you should know. We found the investigation file from your accident." Siwon opened it, and Nia watched his face change. Confusion, then pain, then devastation. This says my fiancée died in the explosion. Not my wife. My fiancée, Yoon Sarah. He looked up at Junho. "I wasn't married when the accident happened." Junho carefully chose his words. "No, Hyungnim. You were engaged. The wedding was planned for 3 months after the attack. Sarah died instantly in the blast." Siwon's hands shook on the file. "Then who?" He turned to Nia, and she saw the moment reality started breaking through. "Who are you? I can explain. You're not my wife." It wasn't a question. "I've been calling you my wife for 2 weeks, and you're not. Siwon, please sit down. Who are you?" His voice rose, pain and betrayal raw in every word. "I'm your nurse. I was your nurse during the coma. I made a medication error that woke you up. And when you woke up, you thought I was your wife. The doctors said not to shock you with the truth, that your brain needed time to heal. So you lied. For 2 weeks you let me believe we were married. You let me think—" He stopped, devastated. "Everything I remember about us is fake?" "Not everything. Your feelings might be real, just misplaced. Your brain heard my voice during the coma and created memories around it. I grieved for you." Siwon's voice cracked. "I woke up thinking I'd lost 2 years with my wife, and I was grateful just to have you back. I held your hand and thanked God you survived when Sarah didn't, and it was all a lie. I'm sorry, I was trying to protect you. Protect me, or protect yourself, because now I'm awake, and you're living in my penthouse, and my entire organization thinks you're my wife. That's convenient for a nurse who made a catastrophic medical error, isn't it?" The accusation stung because there was truth in it. Her life had transformed through this deception. "I never wanted this," Nia said quietly. "I was terrified. I stayed because doctors said it would kill you to know the truth. I stayed because you grabbed my hand like I was your only anchor to reality. I stayed because—" Her voice broke. "Because you looked at me like I mattered. And I've never had anyone look at me like that." The honesty seemed to pierce through his anger. Siwon sat down heavily. I loved Sarah. We were going to get married. She died because people wanted me dead, and I survived while she didn't." His voice was hollow. "I woke up thinking I had a second chance, that somehow my wife had survived, but that was just my broken brain creating fairy tales." "I'm sorry," Nia whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Leave." He couldn't look at her. "Go back to your life. I'll make sure the hospital doesn't punish you for the medication error. I'll even pay you for your time playing pretend. But I can't look at you right now." Nia wanted to argue, to explain, to somehow make this better. But what could she say? He was right. She'd participated in a deception, even if her intentions were good. She gathered her things and left. Back in her tiny apartment, Nia cried for the first time since this began. Not just for the situation, but for the loss of something that had never really been hers. The feeling of being loved by someone like Siwon. Her phone rang. Dr. Kim. "Nia, what happened?" "I just got a call from the hospital. Choi Siwon's vitals are crashing. He's having some kind of breakdown. They need you back. He knows the truth. He doesn't want me there. He's asking for you. Even knowing the truth, he's calling your name." "Nia, I don't fully understand the psychology of what's happening, but his brain has bonded to you in a way that transcends the false memories. You have to come back." 20 minutes later, Nia was rushing into the penthouse to find Siwon in bed, hooked to emergency monitors, Junho and 3 other men surrounding him. "Boss, please calm down." "I want Nia," Siwon was saying, his voice weak. "I know she's not my wife. I know it was all fake, but I want her here. Please." "I'm here," Nia said from the doorway. Everyone turned. Siwon's eyes found hers, and despite everything, relief flooded his face. "You came back. Your vitals crashed. Of course I came back." She moved to his bedside professionally, checking his monitors. "You're having a panic attack. I need you to breathe slowly. I'm sorry for what I said, for accusing you of—" "Don't. You were right to be angry." She took his hand, the gesture automatic now. "I should have found a way to tell you sooner." The doctors explained about the neural pathways, the false memory formation. "It wasn't your fault." He held her hand tightly. "But Nia, even knowing you're not my wife, even knowing those memories are fake, I still feel it. When you walked in just now, my first thought was, she came back to me. That's insane, right?" "Not insane. Your brain spent 2 years hearing my voice, building patterns around it. Those connections don't just disappear because you remember the truth. So what do we do?" "I don't know. I'm a nurse, not a neurologist. But maybe—" She hesitated. "Maybe we start over. No lies, no pretending. Just 2 people trying to understand what's real and what's not." "I'd like that." His grip on her hand was gentle now, not desperate. "Can you stay? Just for tonight? I promise not to call you my wife, but I'm afraid if you leave, I'll fall apart again." Every logical part of Nia's brain said to walk away. This was too complicated, too dangerous, too emotionally fraught. But she looked at this man, powerful, broken, trying to find his way back to reality, and couldn't leave him alone in the darkness. "I'll stay," she said. "But Siwon, tomorrow we figure out what comes next. Together, as partners, not as pretend spouses." "Partners," he agreed. "I can work with that." Starting over was harder than either expected. Over the next month, Siwon slowly regained more real memories. His business, his history, the attack that killed Sarah. But the false memories of Nia as his wife persisted alongside the truth, creating a confusing double vision. It's like having two competing timelines, he explained to her one evening. I know intellectually that we never married, never even met before the coma. But I also have vivid memories of our wedding, our life together. They feel just as real. What do the doctors say? That it might be permanent. The neural pathways created during the coma are as strong as real memories. I might always have both versions in my head. He looked at her seriously, which means I need to figure out what's actually between us versus what my brain invented. So they dated, awkwardly, honestly, two people trying to build something real from the wreckage of fantasy. Siwon took her to dinner at expensive restaurants. Nia insisted on splitting bills, refusing to be a kept woman. He showed her his legitimate businesses, the pharmaceutical distribution network that was actually legal. She told him about growing up in Lagos, her nursing training, her dreams of opening a medical clinic in Nigeria someday. You're nothing like the woman my brain invented, Siwon admitted after their fifth date. You're more stubborn, more independent, more real. I think I like this version better, even though I'm not the fantasy wife who waited by your bedside. Especially because you're not that. You're Nia, sharp, strong, doesn't take my nonsense. That's more valuable than any fantasy. But the complications were mounting. His organization still believed Nia was his wife. Siwon had explained the truth to his inner circle, but keeping it from everyone else was strategic. Rivals were less likely to target her if they thought she was already established as the boss's wife, not a new vulnerability. So I'm still playing a role, Nia said with frustration. Just a different one. Only in public. In private, we're just us. He took her hand. But Nia, I need to be honest. My world is dangerous. Sarah died because of my enemies. If we do this for real, if we actually become something, you'll be a target. I can protect you, but I can't guarantee safety. I work in ICU. I deal with life and death every day. I'm not some fragile flower. No, you're a warrior. But warriors can still be hurt. His expression was serious. I'm asking you to choose this, knowing the risks. No false memories, no medication-induced confusion. Just a conscious choice to build something with a man who comes with significant baggage. Nia thought about her quiet life before, working double shifts, sending money home, dreaming of eventually returning to Nigeria. Safe, predictable, lonely. Then she thought about Siwon. Complicated, dangerous, but also kind, honest, and looking at her with hope that felt nothing like obligation. I choose this, she said, not because of false memories or guilt about the medication error, but because you're worth the risk. His kiss tasted like relief and promise and new beginnings. 3 months into their real relationship, the past came calling. Nia was at the hospital finishing a shift when a woman approached her. Elegant, Korean, expensive clothes, and eyes full of calculation. You're the nurse who woke Choi Siwon. Can I help you? I'm Park Minju. I was Yoon Sera's best friend. The woman's smile was cold. The woman who actually loved Siwon before you played your little trick. It wasn't a trick, wasn't it? You give him the wrong medication, he wakes up thinking you're his wife, and suddenly you're living in luxury as the boss's girlfriend. Very convenient. I never wanted any of this, but you kept it. You could have corrected him immediately, walked away, let him grieve properly. Instead, you played along. Minju stepped closer. Sarah was my sister in everything but blood. She loved Siwon with her whole heart, and she's dead while you get to play house with the man who was supposed to be hers. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Sarah's death wasn't fair. But I didn't cause it, and I can't change it. No, but I can make sure you don't profit from it. Minju's voice was venomous. I've been digging into your background, Nurse Okonkwo. Your mother needs expensive medical care in Nigeria. Your brothers need school fees. Very expensive needs for a nurse's salary. How much is Siwon paying you to play pretend? Nothing. I work for my money. Do you? Because I have bank records showing large transfers to accounts in Nigeria. Convenient timing, right after you accidentally became the boss's wife. Nia's blood ran cold. Siwon had insisted on helping her family, paying for her mother's surgery, her brother's education. She'd protested, but he'd said it was a gift, not payment. Now it looked like exactly what Minju was suggesting: compensation for services rendered. Get out of Siwon's life, Minju said quietly, or I'll make sure everyone, his organization, the hospital, the world, knows you're nothing but a gold digger who exploited a coma patient's confusion. After Minju left, Nia sat in her car shaking. Every accusation had a grain of truth. She had benefited from the medication error. Her family had received money. To outsiders, it looked exactly like what Minju suggested. That evening, she confronted Siwon. You sent money to my family without telling me the amounts. I wanted to help. You made it look like I'm being paid to be with you. Her voice rose. Sarah's friend approached me today. She has bank records, Siwon. She's going to destroy my reputation, claim I'm exploiting you. Minju is grieving and looking for someone to blame. And I'm an easy target, a foreign nurse who benefited from a medication mistake. It looks terrible, Siwon. It looks like exactly what everyone's going to think it is. Then let them think it. I know the truth. You know the truth. That's not enough. Nia was crying now. My reputation matters. My career matters. I can't be known as the nurse who woke a coma patient and became his mistress for money. You're not my mistress. You're the woman I love, based on false memories, based on who you are. Siwon grabbed her shoulders gently. Yes, my brain created fantasies during the coma, but these 3 months, this has been real, Nia. I've fallen in love with the real you, your stubbornness, your independence, your terrible taste in movies, the way you sing off-key in the shower. None of that is false memory. How can you be sure? Because the woman my brain invented was perfect. You're better. You're real, flawed, complicated, and choosing me anyway. He cupped her face. I love you, Nia Okonkwo. Not because you woke me up, not because of some neural pathway confusion, because you're you. But everyone will think, let them. We know the truth. That's all that matters. But as Nia drove home that night, she couldn't shake Minju's words, or the growing fear that maybe she had exploited the situation, even unintentionally. Maybe the kindest thing would be to walk away before she destroyed Siwon's reputation further. The scandal broke 3 days later. A tabloid ran the story. Coma patient's miracle recovery reveals nurse's deception. False wife scheme exposed. They had everything. Photos of Nia leaving Siwon's penthouse. Bank records showing money transfers, interviews with hospital staff, speculating about the medication error. The article painted her as a manipulative gold digger who'd exploited a vulnerable patient. Nia's phone exploded with calls. Reporters, hospital administrators, former colleagues asking if it was true. The hospital suspended her pending investigation into the medication error and ethics violations. Siwon's organization was in chaos, members questioning whether the boss's wife had been real or a con artist. And worst of all, Nia's mother called from Nigeria, crying, "Baby, what's happening? People are saying terrible things. Did you really trick a man? Take money?" "Mama, it's not like that." "Then what is it like? Because I'm looking at the surgery bills that were paid, the school fees for your brothers, and I'm wondering if my daughter sold herself to get them." "I didn't sell myself. I fell in love with a man who thought you were his wife because of brain damage." "Amara, that's not love. That's taking advantage." The accusation from her own mother broke something in Nia. After hanging up, she packed her bags. She couldn't do this anymore. Couldn't be the villain in everyone's story. Couldn't drag Siwon down with her reputation. Couldn't live with the doubt that maybe everyone was right. She left a note. "I'm sorry. You deserve someone whose love isn't questioned, whose presence doesn't hurt you. Be well." And then she disappeared. Siwon found the note an hour later. "Find her," he told Junho immediately. "I don't care what it takes. Find Nia." "Boss, maybe it's better if—" "Find her." Siwon's voice was raw. "I didn't survive 2 years in a coma and fight my way back to consciousness just to lose her because of lies and public opinion. Find her now." But Nia had learned from working with Siwon. She knew how to disappear. She'd turned off her phone, used cash only, stayed with a friend from nursing school who wasn't connected to any of this. 3 days passed. Siwon was becoming desperate, barely sleeping, running his empire on autopilot while searching for the woman who'd saved his life and then vanished. "She's protecting you," Junho said quietly. "By leaving, she's removing herself as a target. She's trying to save your reputation." "I don't care about my reputation. I care about her." Siwon's voice cracked. "She thinks she's the villain in this story. She thinks everyone's right about her. But they're all wrong, Junho. She's the hero. She saved my life, stood by me when I was confused, built something real with me despite impossible circumstances. And now she's suffering because I couldn't protect her from the cruelty of people who don't know her." "Then tell them. Tell everyone the truth." "The truth?" "Hold a press conference. Explain everything. The coma, the medication error that saved your life, the false memories, how you fell in love with her anyway. Make it public, make it clear, make them see her the way you do." It was risky, exposing his vulnerability, his confusion, his medical history to the world. But for Nia, he'd risk everything. The press conference was televised nationally. Siwon stood before cameras, powerful and vulnerable in equal measure, and told the truth. "My name is Choi Siwon. 2 years ago, an assassination attempt put me in a coma. I was unconscious, unresponsive, and doctors had little hope I'd ever wake up. Then a nurse named Nia Okonkwo made a medication error. The room buzzed with murmurs. That error saved my life. The wrong medication triggered a neurological response that woke me after 24 months. but it also caused retrograde amnesia and false memory formation. When I opened my eyes, I believed Nurse Okonkwo was my wife, a complete fabrication my brain created around her voice, which I'd heard during the coma. He paused, letting the information sink in. For 2 weeks, medical professionals advised maintaining that fiction to avoid shocking my fragile system. Nia Okonkwo stayed by my side, not because she was gold-digging or manipulating me, but because doctors said the truth might kill me. She sacrificed her comfort, her career, and eventually her reputation to keep a stranger alive. Siwon's voice grew stronger. When I learned the truth, I was angry, betrayed. But then I realized something. The false memories don't matter. What matters is who Nia actually is. A brilliant nurse who treats coma patients with dignity, a woman who works double shifts to support her family, someone who chose honesty and kindness even when it cost her everything. I fell in love with her, not because of confused neural pathways, but because of who she is when no one's watching. And yes, I helped her family financially, not as payment, but as gratitude for the woman who gave me my life back and then gave me a reason to live it. He looked directly into the camera. Nia, if you're watching this, you're not the villain. You never were. You're the woman I choose, clearly and consciously, knowing everything. Please come home. Nia was watching from her friend's apartment, tears streaming down her face. Girl, that man just declared his love on national television. Her friend breathed. You have to go to him. What if he's wrong? What if I did exploit? Did you fall in love with him for money? No. Did you stay because doctors said it would save his life? Yes. Then stop letting other people's opinions define your story. That man just exposed his entire medical history, his vulnerability, his feelings, for you. The least you can do is meet him halfway. Nia grabbed her phone. Nia arrived at the penthouse as the press conference ended. Security let her through immediately, and she found Siwon on the terrace, staring at Seoul's lights. That was quite a speech, she said softly. He turned, relief and joy flooding his face. You came. You went on national television and told the world I accidentally drugged you awake. I couldn't let that stand without context. She moved closer. Siwon, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. Because you were suffering because of me, because of my world, because people didn't understand. So I made them understand. What about your reputation, your business? Improved, actually. Turns out people respect honesty more than I thought. Several rivals have reached out with legitimate business proposals. The hospital called to reinstate you with full honors, and Minju issued a public apology. He smiled slightly. Apparently, vulnerability is good for business. And the false memories? Still there, probably always will be. But Nia, I don't care anymore. I have real memories now. 3 months of actual us. That's stronger than any fiction my brain invented. She took his hands. I love you. Not the man who woke up thinking I was his wife. Not the powerful boss who can solve problems with money. Just you. Siwon, who reads terrible thrillers, who's rebuilding himself piece by piece, who had the courage to tell the truth when it would have been easier to hide. I love you too. The real you. Always will. When they kissed, it tasted like truth and choice and earned love. Not the fantasy version, but something infinitely better. 1 year later, Nia stood in her new medical clinic in Lagos. The clinic bore a small plaque, Okonkwo Choi Medical Center, where second chances begin. Siwon had funded it completely, but Nia ran it, providing affordable care to communities that couldn't access proper medical facilities. "Your first patient is here," her nurse called. An elderly woman with a comatose grandson. "The doctors say there's no hope, but I heard about you, about the miracle you performed in Korea." Nia smiled gently. It wasn't a miracle. It was a mistake that became something beautiful. But let me examine him. Sometimes the wrong thing at the right time can save a life. That evening, Siwon called from Seoul. "How's the clinic?" "Busy, fulfilling, everything I dreamed." She smiled. "How's the empire?" "Boring without you. But I'm flying in tomorrow. Can't miss our anniversary." "1 year since I accidentally drugged you awake?" "1 year since you saved my life, and then chose to love me anyway." His voice was warm. Best mistake anyone ever made. They'd married 6 months ago, a real wedding, with real vows, in both Nigeria and Korea. The ceremony had been covered by the same tabloids that once called her a gold digger, now celebrating their miracle romance. "I still have the false memories sometimes," Siwon admitted. "But you know what? They don't bother me anymore. Because the real memories we're making are so much better. Even the memory of me giving you the wrong medication. Especially that one, because it brought me you." He paused. "I love you, Nurse Okonkwo." "I love you too, Mr. Choi. See you tomorrow." After hanging up, Nia looked at her clinic, built from the wreckage of a medication error, funded by love, serving people who needed second chances. She'd accidentally given a comatose Mafia boss the wrong medicine. He'd woken up calling her his wife, and somehow, impossibly, that mistake had led to the truest love either had ever known. In the ICU, miracles didn't happen, except when they did. And when they did, they changed everything. The end. Thank you for following Nia and Siwon's journey from medication error to miracle love. If you loved their story of second chances and chosen family, subscribe for more. See you in the next one. Would you have played along with the false memories or told the truth immediately? Comment below.